Okay guys, just recording another video here to explain some of the gradings for the Creation Club spells that I missed in the last video, as well as the rest of them from every other school. Okay guys, you ready for this? This should be a shorter video, but I did miss some of these here. Okay, let's take a quick look and make sure we didn't miss anything else. Bone Man, Curse Spectre, I didn't know. Right, okay, so I missed this Haunting Spirit, first of all. That's not the Haunting Spirit. This Haunting Spirit right here. I think I said it was I said it was a quest, right? I think it actually is DLC, but I decided I'd go ahead and rate it. And basically, it's the only way you can get this debuff where you drain 10 points of the skill of all their skills. That can make it can make a decent difference in the amount of damage they do with weapons. It can make a decent difference in those things. But the weird thing is they have to actually go out and kill this one thing that you summoned. So it does help if you can summon hordes of them. But really it's a very odd strategy to go for little benefit. You're making them weaker. The one situation where I could see this working is on human enemies that live for a very long time. If you're playing on legendary difficulty and you're struggling up against a bandit that's way leveled higher than you, this could be useful for debuffing them and making you able to survive them a little better. So because it actually has a use, but because that's kind of a niche use, I'm going to go ahead and give it a C-. Actually, I'm going to bump that up to a C. So it's a C. Haunting Spirit gets a C. Okay, and the other one that I missed is this one right here. This Skeletal Champion. If you look at him, it's only an adept spell. So this is going to be your straight upgrade to Skeletal Minion, right? But the big problem with this guy... is that he really falls off and doesn't have that much health. But he's a melee unit. Now, he does do decent damage. So if nobody's attacking him, he's not that bad. But really, he's not super good because he just doesn't fulfill his role very well. And even when you get him at the adept level, I can't say he's really that good. Adept... Hold on. Yeah, so by the time you have 50 Conjuration, I just don't feel like he's going to be that strong. Right? I've used him when I first got him at like 50 Conjuration a bunch of times, and he did seem to get pretty instantly killed. But he can last against certain enemies. It's not like he's frail like the minion. So he's kind of just an extension of the minion, to be honest. And he's almost exactly the same in the minion in that he's moderately useful when you get him, but by the time, you get a little bit higher level, he's not even that useful. But the thing that makes him worse than the minion is that you can rely on the minion being reliably useful when you get him. You don't know what level you're going to hit 50 Conjuration. You could be a high level when you hit 50 Conjuration. You could be a low level when you hit 50 Conjuration. So if you really beeline Conjuration, you may find this guy to be more effective than you would think. Because, you've, quick leveled Conjuration. And now you're only level, whatever, 10 or whatever, and you have 50 conjuration and you can summon this guy. But if you're playing a more balanced playthrough where you level up a lot of other skills other than just one, or a lot of other magic skills, or a lot of other warrior skills, and this isn't your primary skill that you're leveling up the fastest, he could be far weaker than you want him to be when you get him. And compared to other adept levels conjuration spells, he's not good compared to them. Even Golden Saint Warrior is better. So for that, I'm gonna have to give him probably an F+. Okay, so let's get on to the other schools. I don't have the I did the quest that lets you get another alteration spell that is Creation Club. However, I did not acquire it, which is Master Transmute. That allows you to turn gold or it allows you to turn iron directly into gold without having to turn it into silver first. It's basically just a time saver. It's completely unnecessary. So for that, I give it a D. It's a convenience perk. It's a convenience spell. I think another one is Paralysis Rune. So Paralysis Rune is a really interesting one because Paralysis, right here, Paralyze, expert level spell. For me, it's being reduced by half. And I have a gear that's reducing it. But for you, it's going to be way more expensive. However, Paralysis Rune, on the other hand, where's that? He's always going to be way cheaper, but it's going to do exactly the same thing. This one is targets that fail to resist. This one, I don't think they can resist it, if I'm not even mistaken. So this is a really underrated, slept-on spell. You can get it really early. It's basically like a poor man's Paralyze. It's early game Paralyze because, it requires you to put this up on an enemy's feet, walk up to them and put it on their feet. Just target the ground under them. But it's not really that hard to do, to be honest. And it's amazingly effective and will win you a battle. If you can paralyze somebody over and over, you've just won. And you've taken away all difficulty and all the damage that they can do to you. So really, it's an incredible spell that gives you access to paralysis a little earlier, a little cheaper, but with worse range. So what I'm going to give this one is an A. Okay, let's talk about these. Finrick's Welcome. Okay, this one is interesting because it allows you to bypass the lock-picking minigame altogether, unless it's a master lock. The thing about that is that lockpicking isn't really that hard, nor does it require that many lockpicks. So in the end, this is really a convenience perk. But another thing that makes this even worse to me is that if you're using this over and over, first of all, it costs a lot of magic. But that doesn't really matter outside of combat, right? As long as you have enough magic, you can just use all your magic, and if you're not in survival mode, you can just wait an hour with no repercussions and get your magic back. Or maybe you're a thief and you don't really care about it, The turning invisible is irrelevant, so don't focus on that. It is a little nice, I'll admit. It's nicer for this than the other invisibility one they added, which also does something else, where the invisibility is the main feature. But for let's not get ahead of ourselves. This one, the problem with this one is that you do not level up your lockpicking skill, right? That's my big problem with this one, and why I never use it, because I'm always looking for an excuse to use this, but I want to level up my lockpicking skill all the way to 100. Why wouldn't you? So if you're using this, you're only going to be leveling your illusion, never your lockpicking. So for that, and because it's an expert level spell that's super expensive, I have to give it a D, right? And that's being generous. Okay, let's talk about the other illusion spell they added. This one right here. Urum's Aquatic Escape. The caster is invisible for 15 seconds. Activating an object or attacking breaks a spell, can breathe underwater for 15 seconds. Improve night vision for 15 seconds. Now, I could have sworn this was cheaper. Oh, well, that's because the last time I used this, I had an illusion build. I don't have any perks into the illusion skill tree. So these are all raw numbers. And without any perks into illusion, any gear that reduces illusion, my cost for this spell is 98 magicka. If you look at the invisibility spell, it's 207. That's double. This is cheaper than this, but this is half the time as this. What does that mean? That you can get this spell earlier, and that you can use it all the time, and that now invisibility is actually available to people who use illusion magic for more of their playthrough. You can get adept level spells when you reach, you don't even have to reach level 50 to get an adept level spell. You can get the spell before you've reached level 50 in illusion. This is incredibly useful on a mage playthrough, and I've used it, a thief playthrough, and I've used it over and over again. This is one of the best spells in the game because of when you get it, how much it costs, what it does. You think 15 seconds, oh, that sucks. Actually, it's amazing. 15 seconds, but you can cast it over and over. And if you have a perk that reduces adept, you can just cast this a bunch of times. Now, of course, casting it will reveal you, but that's part of the fun of stealthing around. You know what I mean? This is a great tool for a rogue. For that, I give it an A+. Okay, let's talk about destruction, guys. Elemental Blast, Elemental Bolt, Elemental Burst, Elemental Flare. You guys can probably guess how I feel about these. These are the most damage-dealing spells in the entire game. Look at this. 135 points of fire damage, 135 points of shock damage, cost 27 magicka. Look at my gear here. This is how much we're reducing that by. Alteration by 19%, destruction by 30%, and that's it. Right? I don't have any other... Oh wait, maybe this one? No. So really, look at how cheap this is, and how powerful this is. This is an incredible deal. If you want to feel like a badass that can blow up anything, all tiers of this spell will be good regardless of what perks you have. This just rebalances, in my opinion, this spell rebalances destruction so that it may be actually useful in the game. Hold on. Yeah, I can't move that. Okay. This spell gets an easy A+. Destruction in the base game is broken, right? Destruction in the base game is not good damage. It is unbalanced and weak. This spell is powerful and stronger than melee. Okay? Let's talk about the next one. There's a tier here of different spells called Hangman's Noose. I think there's one called Strangulation, Touch of Death. What these do is they do damage over time that drains into your health. If anybody's familiar with Oblivion, you'll know all about this, right? Because you're used to these drain health spells, and it works exactly like those games. It's not the most powerful thing in the world, but it can be very effective if you're double casting it. And not to mention, it does give you a constant pool of health. So these are pretty darn useful, but I wouldn't say they're like game-breakingly powerful or anything like that. I'd say that they're more powerful than any of the base game destruction spells, but they're less powerful than this Elemental Blast, for sure. They don't do that much damage, really. They do more than a Firebolt, right? But not that much. But the damage to Magicka ratio is very good. So for that, I'm going to give it a B. Okay, let's talk about the last one here. Unbounded Flames, Unbounded Freezing, and Unbounded Storms. Hold on, let's try this one out right here. This one right here. This one... Yes, it's all coming back to me now. If you can see, I have a lot of Magicka. I really like this spell, so I'm going to give it a B. But it's not incredibly damaging. It can be very damaging. It's not quite... Actually, this one has a little bit better range than the other ones, so I have to give this one an A-. A- for this one. This one right here. Here, let's This one is not incredibly good. It does a lot of damage. Not gonna lie. I do have all the perks for it, though. Keep that in mind. All the perks for Frost, all the perks for all that stuff. I mean, this one does do incredibly solid damage, but the range is less good than Unbounded Flames. So I have to give it a B. But this one gets a B+ for having a little bit better... Well, actually, no. This one, if I remember right, this one does a little bit less damage than this one. Yeah, so this one gets a B-, and this one gets a B. These are all incredible spells. You won't go wrong with them. Right, but the problem is you have to get up super close for these two. And this big AoE. So it's kind of like, why am I meleeing with magic? But Unbounded Flames is not that at all. Just make sure I didn't fuck someone up over there. Yeah, this Unbounded Flames is a good way to do a large amount of projectile damage in a continuous stream. It's kind of like, did you like the Flame spell? Well, here's like a combination of Flames and Fireball. Okay, guys. I don't believe this one is, I don't believe this one is anyway. DLC. I don't think there's any DLC. I don't think there's any DLC. Oh, wait, this one might be. No, it's not. It's not. I don't think there's any DLC restoration, but I just wanted to check. Okay, guys. That should be it for this video. Oh, do you think I should do it? Nah, we're not going to be cruel to animals. We're just going to pet him. I was going to blow up that fox with some fireballs, but then I realized that's not very nice. Sometimes if you had the capability to cast fireballs, you'll want to blow up everything in sight. Okay, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.